In this class, I want to talk about power and leadership influence. Mullins in 1999 states that leadership influence will be dependent upon the type of power that the leader can exercise over the followers. So, leadership influence will depend on the type of power. It almost sounds ominous. But there are different types of power, as we will see, and the influence of the leader will depend on that. It'll also depend on the circumstances in which the leader operates, the type of business, also the legal controls within the country. So there are many influences, external and indeed internal, that may moderate the leader's influence. But essentially, it comes down to what type of power it is. Research in the area, according to UCL 2002, attempts to explain leadership effectiveness in terms of the amount and type of power possessed by a leader and how it is exercised. So the influence of the leader depends on the power possessed by the leader and how the power is exercised. We'll see how this works out later on. Exercising power is a social process, and it's investigated mostly by sociologists. So, to a large extent, this session is based on the ideas of sociology. Now, research by French and Raven, going way back, 1959, led them to identify a taxonomy, or a list, if you like, of 5 main sources of power. Now, the next slide may look a bit horrendous, but I've emphasized the first point and I've grayed out the remaining points. It'd be a good idea at this point, because there's a lot of information on the slide, to remind you that you can stop the video, make some notes here, and return to the video and pick up what I'm saying as you go along. But use the stop button on the video on a frequent basis and make your own notes. Anyway, returning to the power and influence relationship. Now, this taxonomy was developed by French and Raven, I said, in 1959, and the first type of power that they recognized was reward power. It's the perception that the leader has the ability and resources to obtain rewards for those who comply with directives. That's just another way of saying if you work for someone or if you follow someone, you expect to be rewarded, perhaps financially rewarded. And there is this belief amongst the followers that the leader can deliver this. There's a perception that the leader has the ability to get these rewards. The second type of power is coercive power. It's based on fear. And this is the idea that the leader has the ability to punish and bring about undesirable outcomes for those who do not comply with directives. Now, in business, this could mean reduced salary or demotion. That's the sort of power. Politically, it could mean all sorts of things. It could mean imprisonment or whatever. But we're talking here in the context of business, so it's more than likely the case that this type of power will lead to demotion or reduced salary or a worsening of working conditions or a withdrawal of perks or whatever it is. But there is a fear that if the people do not follow, they will be punished. So that's the second type. The first type was reward the people for following. The second type is punish them if they don't follow. The third type is legitimate power. It's based on the subordinate's perception that the leader has a right to exercise influence because of the leader's role or position in the organization. Legitimate power is based on authority and is therefore position power, because it is based on the role of the leader and not on the nature of personal relationships with others. So, legitimate power is based on the role. It's based on the position in the organization. It's not based on the ability of the person. It's simply based on the fact that they have a position of power within the organization and therefore must be followed, must be obeyed. So that's what's called legitimate power. The next one is referent power, based on the subordinate's identification with the leader. The leader exercises influence because of perceived attractiveness, personal characteristics, reputation, or charisma. They command respect or esteem. Some people have got the ability to influence others simply by their personality, by their charisma, by their reputation as well in the area. So that may be it may be a source of power. Now, if that's the case, then the leader derives the power from these very, very vague personal attributes. Lastly, there's expert power, based on the subordinate's perception of the leader is competent, and the leader has got some special knowledge or expertise in a given area. Because the people will follow. Expert power is based on credibility and clear evidence of knowledge or expertise. Because of the expert power, because of their expertise, they become a leader and people are willing to follow them because they know that these people have expertise. So those are 5 types of power, sources of power, and they're important to understand those. So these are based on what the subordinate's perception is. Whether it is real or not is debatable. Whether the expert is an expert, who knows? Hopefully the person is an expert. Whether the person can or would demote somebody for not obeying, using coercive power, or not. It may happen, it may not happen. But it's the perception that's important. It's the belief that that is possible that engenders this idea, engenders the idea that they must follow. Yukel looked deeper at the influence behavior of leaders and distinct types of proactive influence tactics. So in other words, what positively influences? He identified 11 proactive influence tactics used to motivate someone to carry out a request or perform a task. Now these are 11 ways in which influence can be given to subordinates to motivate them to carry out a request. He identified these 11 ways, and these are under the heading of rational persuasion. Rational persuasion, this is not based on a belief. This is used as a method of getting the workers or the subordinates to follow the direction that's laid out by the leader, and it's explained to them rationally. The first way is by having an appraising. And appraising means you You talk to the workers, you perhaps have a formal procedure looking at the skills, competencies of the worker, their abilities, in the context of the requirements of the particular task. And the worker, or the subordinate, or whatever you want to call him or her, will therefore be aware that there is a gap or a mismatch, or perhaps there is an ideal matching of competencies and skills with the requirements, whichever way. But it's the appraising that is the way to get cohesion. You could have inspirational appeals. We're all in it together. This idea of appealing to people and telling them there is a great future ahead of them if only they will agree and cooperate and all pull together to achieve the desired objective. You can consult with them, perhaps in small groups or perhaps one-to-one. Sometimes small groups might be a better tactic, because if the group is not antagonistic, then if there are a few who are skeptical, the weight of the group itself might alter their opinions. Exchange. Exchange can happen in various ways. You could exchange the tasks so that it's a greater match between the requirements and the skills and competencies. There could be an exchange in terms of their involvement, indeed, in the whole process. Maybe there's a position for them that does not involve them in this particular task or goal, so they don't have to follow the leader. They have exchanged and been replaced by somebody who is enthusiastic. So there are various ways of looking at exchange. It can be looked at in all sorts of ways. You can collaborate with them and work with them to try and bring about the outcome that you desire. Working with them in collaboration, they feel that there is a part of a team, it's integrated, and the leader is involved the same as they are. It's not a us and them, it's all of us together, so it's collaborative, and that may bring it about. Personal appeals. You could, if someone is feeling alienated from the task, make a personal appeal. Talk to them straight and try to win them over. Explain the situation. Try to deal with any issues that they've got and try to resolve those issues. Ingratiation. Compliment them. Make them feel good for the tasks that they've already completed. Make them feel good to be a member of the team. Give them pride in their work. Give them pride in their participation on this particular project. Give them pride in the fact that they are leading. They are in a program that's leading to a better future, a better tomorrow. So you are praising them for their involvement. Legitimating tactics. Whatever tactics were used in the formation of the group, legitimize them in the sense that prove to them that these were the right things to do, that the tactics were right, the objective is right, and show this and show it beyond doubt so that they can see that there is a logic in the participation in the group. So they feel better and they feel that this is a good thing to do. Of course, you can have the negatives there as well. You could put pressure on people if they're not participating. The pressure is the coercive power that we talked about earlier. The threatening to reduce salary or perhaps even sack the people, dismiss them. Or it could be to worsen their conditions or is to bring pressure on them, to make them feel that they will be alienated by the group, they will stand out on their own, they'll be isolated. So bringing that pressure to bear may be a tactic to win over cooperation on the project. And you could talk about the coalition idea, this idea of it's a team, and the team is doing something that is laudable, it is something that's leading into the future, it will secure employment, it will secure their jobs, it will secure the business, everyone will benefit in the future, and there are positive paybacks as being a part of this coalition in terms of job security, perhaps even higher salaries, to be able to outmaneuver the competition in the marketplace. So the business or the organisation will do better by having coalitions, a coalition with the leader heading into the future. It all sounds like rousing stuff that you would perhaps see more in Hollywood than on a business course. But despite that, this is the way it is. These are the way in which rational persuasion techniques can be used. And for the leader to have a team that effectively follows the goals set out and the tactics set out, these are the, if you like, the weapons that's got to be deployed to ensure that the final destination is reached. So the leader will resort to these if need be. So that about concludes this video. So what we've done here is we've looked at the sources of power, 5 of them, and we've looked at this idea of how to persuade people to participate and follow the leader. And we set out 10 of these. So that concludes this video. So thank you for watching.